Ministers emphasized the importance of growing trade and commerce relations between South Africa and India.
To take that relationship a lot further forward, that we can do it and that we need to do it. We can do it because, as has already been mentioned, India is one of the fast-growing economies in the world. It's a fast-growing economy also due to the policies associated with Prime Minister Modi, which have propelled India when many countries in the world were faltering and stuttering. India continued to be a fast-growing economy, and that's one part of it. And then on the other side of it is that South Africa, as has already been mentioned, is also on a new economic path. A new economic path which our President Matamela Ramaphosa, has called a new dawn. Now this new dawn is based on, underpinned by improving investor and consumer confidence. And this growing investor and consumer confidence is based on the fact that we have acted to deal with some of the challenges that have held us back in the past. So we have seen already a new broom sweeping the issues of governance and better performance of a number of our state-owned companies. We have seen action to reduce areas where we've had uncertainty in terms of policy and practice. And all of this, I think, is leading to a view that South Africa is on an upward trajectory, that the growth forecasts that we have at the moment are not the ceiling, but they are the floor that we can add to as we improve on all of these areas of economic performance. And indeed, it's worth saying that Goldman Sachs earlier this year has picked South Africa as the quote-unquote hot emerging market for this year of 2018. So I think that the circumstances in both our countries are propitious for us to deepen and strengthen our bilateral relations.
As President Ramaphosa said, that this new dawn must mean that citizens benefit, as I said, from what government does and what the private sector does. But more importantly, the institutions of government, and in particular in this instance, in my instance and the instance of my colleagues, state-owned enterprises need to move in a very different direction from the past era of what we call state capture in South Africa. And so as we look at the opportunities and you look at what kind of enterprises you combine your efforts in, let's also remind ourselves that the current global situation itself poses a number of risks that we as BRICS-related countries have the possibility of both mitigating on the one hand and contributing to developing a new direction on the other hand. The risks are that we might yet have another financial crisis, although we think we've just recovered from the 2008-2009 crisis. The risk is that trade as we know it in the multilateral era through the work done at the WTO might not be the kind of trade that we would see in 2 or 3 years' time, given the kind of tweets that emerge from different parts of the world. You're not laughing at that one. And similarly, whilst technology is playing an important part, serious questions are being raised about big data and artificial intelligence and the fourth industrial revolution, and whether as countries and as people we are ready and able to cope with the kind of changes that they would actually demand. So with respect, I would suggest that business leaders today not only need to look at the transactional level, which I'm sure many of us will do today, but also begin to throw up the new Mandelas and the new Mahatma Gandhis in the 21st century, who will say to us that there's a new way in which economies can grow in a more sustainable and inclusive way. We found new ways in which to decrease inequality and poverty in our countries. And as we do so, let's reinforce the multilateral nature of the global relations that we've actually had, ensure that more trade happens, including the localization that Mr. Agarwal was speaking of earlier on, and ensure that the gap between rich and poor is in fact narrowed as well.
India